Hello, everyone. Good morning, guys. I'm sharing my screen. I'll log into OIC instance, guys. Okay, and I go to so I've logged into OIC instance, guys. In today's session, I'm going to spend the whole session talking about options we have in the integration designer page, guys. Yes, from yesterday's session, you know that there are three cloud services in OIC. You have integrations, you have VBCS, and you have PCS. Okay. And integrations is one key area we spend where we spend majority of our time. And to build integrations, after you log into the application, after you log into OIC instance, you click on the menu option, click on design, and you can click on integrations. And from here, you can build integrations. Now, in today's session, I'll be giving you a very high level overview of all the options that we see here. And as we progress in the course for the next 2 months, we'll be talking about each one of them in quite detail as well later on. But today I'll give you an overview. Now, few navigation related basics, guys. So whenever you go to any particular navigation option here, whether you go to integrations or connections, there are some common navigation basics that you need to know. Okay, so when I logged into a system, I logged in as Prasad, and whatever username that I have used to log into OIC instance, that username you see here is applied as a filter. And you can see how many integrations Prasad has updated. You can see how many integrations that I have updated here. You see 94. And another important point is OIC will not, another important point is OIC will not go to the database attached to database, and it is not going to load all the 94 integrations here. It is not going to load all the 94 integrations into the table here. Instead, what it would do is out of 94 integrations that Prasad has updated, it will sort those integrations by last updated date in descending order. So whatever integrations that Prasad has updated recently, they will be showing up at the top. And out of 94, OIC will only load the first 16 integrations. The latest 16 integrations that Prasad has updated, you will be able to see them here. And if I scroll down further, you see the next set of 16 integrations are loaded into the table. So you have 32 integrations now. And when I scroll down, you see the next set of 32 integrations are loaded. Next set of 16 is loaded. And it makes complete sense as well, right? So if I probably have updated 100 integrations, there's no point in OIC loading all 100 into the table, taking 2 or 3 minutes. Instead, out of that 94, identify the latest 16 integrations that Prasad has updated, load them into the table. Because usually what happens, guys, when you build integrations, you don't complete the build in one day. It usually takes a week, couple of weeks. Sometimes integration takes 4 weeks also to complete the build. In such cases, I might be working on an integration yesterday. I might have signed off, and when I log in next day morning, I want to come in here and I want to resume the build. So what would happen if I go into integrations? Since that is the last integration that I have updated, that is a latest one, that will be showing up at the top. That will be showing up at the top here. And I can quickly go to the integration that I need to resume work on, and I can proceed with the build. Okay, so this is one important thing. So your username will be applied as a filter, and you will see the number of integrations that you have updated. And not all the integrations will be loaded, but the latest 16 integrations that you have updated will be loaded into the table. And as you keep scrolling down, integrations will be loaded in multiples of 16 into the table. But please see what happens now here, guys. And Another important point is if you want to resume, if you want to do some work on any specific integration, what is it that I can do? And if you want to find it, one obvious thing is I can keep scrolling down. One obvious thing is I can keep scrolling down and then I can search for the integration myself. See, if it is something that I've updated recently, it will be showing up at the top. Otherwise, I have to scroll down and search for that integration. But instead of you scrolling through long list of integrations here and searching for the one that you want to build, that you want to make changes in, another thing that you can also do is you have a quick search box. And you can search for the integration by entering full or partial integration name or a keyword or a description. Remember guys, whenever you create an integration, you will be entering a name, keyword, tag, and description. And you can use any of them when you search for the integration name. So for example, if I say UG58, I'm entering one of the old batch name here. What would happen if I enter UG58 and I hit the enter button? I'll be able to see all the integrations which have UG58 in it. I'll be able to see all the integrations which have UG58 in it. Okay. I'll go to the next screen. Come back in here. And I see UG58. You should be able to see the result getting filtered now. So this way, I can even search for the integration by entering a full or partial name. And I also have an option to apply additional filters here. Like I can search for the integrations based on style. If I want to see only the scheduled integrations, I can do that. And if I want to search for the integrations based on status, maybe I want to see only the integrations in active status, I can do that as well. So you can even apply other filters as well. Like you can search for integrations based on style, based on last update date or status. Okay. Now these are the navigation basics that you need to be aware of. Now coming to the most important part, guys, please pay 200% attention. Coming to the most important part. I logged in as Prasad. My username is applied as a filter and I see 94 integrations here that I have updated. Now, if I take off this username as a filter, what does it mean, guys? Let's see what happens if I take off my username as a filter. You see that there are around 1323 integrations. What does it mean, guys? What does it mean? It means that the moment you take off your username as a filter, you are basically able to see all other integrations that other developers have created. You are able to see all other integrations that other developers have created. Right? Okay, so just give me one moment. Yeah. So you would be able to see all other integrations. So the moment you take off username as a filter, you're able to see that earlier you have seen 94 integrations, but now we see 1323 integrations. What does it mean, guys? Basically, the moment you take off your username as a filter, as Prasad, I logged in as Prasad, but still I'm able to see all the integrations that are created by other developers as well. Say, for example, Bhavya, Jyoti, and say Dinesh are working in my team. Okay. Now, when I take off my username as a filter, I can see my integrations and I can also see their integrations as well, whatever they have created. And in other words, there is no access control. Everybody can see all the integrations. Everybody can see all the integrations here. Well, that might be okay in case your client has only one integration team. So let's say your client has only one integration team, guys, and all the integrations will be created by only one team. Since we all belong to a same team, it doesn't matter whether Bhavya or Dinesh or Jyoti gets to see my integration. There's no problem, even if they see my integrations, because we all belong to a same team. But what if a client has a multiple integration teams, guys? If a client has only one integration team, let's say client is implementing only financials or HCM or SCM, there's only one team, 4 to 10 members in a team. then you can directly build the integrations in design screen. And even if the integrations created by one member is visible to another one, no problem. But if you go to the second scenario, let's say client is not implementing only one offering. Let's say they're implementing multiple offerings like finance, HCM, or SCM. What do you do in such case, guys? And let's assume that client has three different teams. Okay, let's say Prasad and other three are working in a finance team, and you have Adivya, Kiran, and others working in HCM team, and you have a separate team for SCM. Now, client would tell you very clearly that Prasad, whatever integrations you and your team are building related to finance implementation should not be visible to the HCM team members. Should not be visible to HCM team members. But tell me one thing, guys, if we build integrations here, so if a finance team and a HCM team builds integration directly in the design integration screen, will we be able to achieve this access control, guys? Will we be able to achieve this access control? Yes or no, please? What did we notice? Your username is applied as a filter, and the moment you take off your username, you can see everything else as well here, right? Everything else that others are building. So what does it mean after I log in? If I take off my username as a filter, I can see what HCM team is building, SCM team is building as well here. In other words, there is no access control. But client needs access control here. So that is where a new concept called projects given by Oracle and OIC Gen 3 comes into picture. You see this projects concept, guys? It was not there in Gen 2. It is a new concept that we have got in Gen 3. And what is it that you would do if a client needs access control like this, like integrations created by one team should not be visible to other? We go to projects and we create a new project. We create a new project from here, give it a name, and I say 103 of finance implementation project. Let's say I'm creating a project for finance team. Okay, I'm creating a project for a finance team. And I'm using UG103 as a prefix, and I click on create. Now, after the project is created, remember whatever you could do within the integration, guys. Okay, I'll go back to the design screen once. So when you go to design screen, remember, guys, when you build integrations, these are all the underlying components, these four underlying components: connections, events, lookups, and libraries. And by the time we complete today's session, you will know what those terms mean. So whenever you build an integration, you can use these underlying components in the integration. Now, when you create a project, you will see those five components within the project as well. So you see the integrations, and within the integrations, you can use connections, lookups, libraries, and events. Connections, events, lookups, and libraries. Just the sequence is different, but the first five options that you see in the integration designer screen is available here, which means, yes, we will give access of this project only to the finance team members, and they will be creating the required connections, lookups, libraries, and events, and eventually use them to build integrations, but only the fin related integrations will be created here. But what is the advantage we get when compared to building a finance integrations within a project instead of doing it in a design screen? If we build finance integrations in a design screen, and if we take off username as a filter, finance team will be able to see them. But even the HCM and SCM team members also will be able to see it if you build it here. But if you do it within a project, remember, if you click on share option, only the members of the project will be able to get in and see what we have in this particular project. Project gives you a very tight access control. See, I logged in as Prasad and I created this project, right? So I'm showing up as an owner here. Now tell me one thing, guys. We did send out onboarding email to you guys, right? We did send out an onboarding email to you. And in the onboarding email that we have sent you guys, we didn't give you access to Prasad login. So I'll be using Prasad to do our training sessions. And when you practice, you will be logging in as Oracle Cloud 23 user. Oracle Cloud 23 user. and you sign into it. Let's say I created this project, and let's see if you guys would be able to access this project with your login, with Oracle Cloud login that we shared with you, Oracle Cloud 23. I logged in as Oracle Cloud 23 here, a different user basically. Now, when you go to projects, first of all, you don't even see the project. First of all, you don't even see the project here. Yes or no, guys? Are you guys able to see this project here? Let's keep it interactive, guys. Please respond when I ask questions.
No.
You don't see it, right? Now, why are you not seeing it? And the reason why you're not seeing it is the user with which you have logged in has been applied as a filter. And if you take off that username as a filter, you will be able to see all the projects. You will be able to see all the projects. Now, when you look at all the projects here, I think the list is not refreshed yet. Yeah, you see all the projects here. Now, and if you try to get into my project, let's see if that works or not. What does it say, guys? It immediately throws an error saying that a user, your name, doesn't have sufficient privilege to perform this. So it's basically saying, sorry, boss, you don't have access to the finance project. You don't have access to the finance project, and that's why you won't be able to get in there. Now, this would be the case if finance or SCM team members tries to get into a, sorry, if SCM or HCM team members try to get into a finance project. But what if this employee, or what if this person is from a finance team, and if he needs to get in and do the build, what do I do in that case? I go back and I'll try to add him. I'll try to add him as a member. I'll try to add him as a member in a project. And when I do that, what would happen? Now that Oracle Cloud user is added as a member in my project, and he's from my team, and I want him to build few integrations related to financials. Now that he's member of a team, if he tries to get in, he would certainly be able to access it. He would certainly be able to get into it. So this way, projects would help you or gives you a very tight access control. And just because we have projects, I don't think that every client uses projects. So the question that you need to ask your client is, do we have multiple integration teams? And do we need access control? If the answer is no, you can build the integrations in design screen. If the answer is yes, then you can build the integrations within the project. And there are a few more points that I need to talk about related to the projects, guys. And I'll be doing that when we do the first integration build in OIC. And if I go back, I'll take the questions in 15 or 20 minutes, Srinidhi. Okay. And that's about the projects. And after that, you see that there is an option to view the integrations in a tabular format. You can also change it to a card view here. And what are the details that you get to see? Even without opening the integration, you can clearly see here what are the connections that you have used in the integration flow, like what is a starting point for the integration, what is trigger, and what are the other connections that you were using in the integration. You see the integration name, version, style of the integration, and the last updated date. And there are a variety of statuses possible for OIC, like configured, logged, active, and so on. And when we do the first integration, I'll walk you through the statuses. Okay. Now, we see two options, guys, import and create. Now, whenever you do an implementation project, what are the four phases that you would normally see in an implementation project, guys? What are the four phases you see in an implementation project?
Development.
You have development, SIT,
UAT,
and production, right? So these are the typical four phases you have in a implementation phase. Now tell me one thing, guys, if it is a Fusion Cloud application or if it is EBS instance, do you have separate instance for every phase of the project? Whether it is EBS or Fusion Cloud, do you have separate instances or do you have one instance?
Different instances.
Typically, it is different.
Obviously different, right? Maybe in some clients might probably do UAT and SIT and UAT maybe in one
Are you
instance.
talking on mute or?
Everybody else is able to hear me. If you have some problem, please drop off and rejoin back. Okay. So these are the typical four phases that we have in an implementation project, right? And what else do we need to do, guys? We need to go ahead and similarly, similar to how you have different Fusion Cloud instances or ERP instances for every phase, we will also have a different OIC instances as well. So you would do the development in a dev OIC instance, and you will do the SIT in SIT instance, obviously, right? And what is it that you do? You and your team, if you're probably leading it, you and your team would log into dev instance. You will log into dev instance, and you will use the create button. Okay, you will use the create button, and you will choose appropriate integration style. And I'll be talking about that in 10 minutes from now. And they would be choosing, you and your team will be choosing appropriate integration style, and you create an integration. So
Hello.
this way,
I can't hear anything. Are you talking on mute?
okay. Now, so this is what we normally do. So this is what we normally do. We create an integration. We create an integration, and we create 100 integrations for. We create 100 integrations. We create 100 integrations for various requirements in a dev instance. Now, let's say we created 100 integrations. Let's say we created 100 integrations, and you got a call from a client. You got a call from a client saying that, Prasad, we're going to start SIT from 1st of September. And please deploy all your integrations, whatever integrations that you created here. Let me duplicate it. Okay. So whatever integrations that you have created in your dev instance, please go ahead, assume that this is dev instance and assume that this is SIT, guys, just for the sake of illustration. So client says, Prasad, whatever 100 integrations that you have created here, whatever 100 you have created, please deploy them to a higher instance, to the SIT instance, and we need to do the build. We need to do the build. So what do you do in that case, guys? What do you do in that case? One option is I can go to one integration at a time. I can go to one integration at a time, export it. And the moment you export an integration, what is the behavior that you see, guys? There will be an integration archive file that would be exported. And this integration archive file will have the entire code of the integration, and not just the code, not just the logic within the integration, the connections used in the integration, events, lookups, and libraries. All these underlying components used in that integration will also be part of that IAR file. So I just have to export that IAR file that would include the integration and all the underlying components. And you go to the higher instance, and in the higher instance, you go ahead and import it. You go ahead and import that IAR file. That's one way you can export and import the integrations. Now, if I go to Bhavya and if I say, yes, we need to export one integration at a time and import it like this, she'll say, okay, Prasad, let's do it. But the moment I say that, well, the catch is we have 100 integrations and you need to repeat this 100 times. Would you be okay with it, guys? Or what if we create 300 integrations or 500 integrations for a client? So you need to export one integration at a time, and you need to repeat it 500 times. You go to a higher instance and you need to import it 500 times. Certainly that is not feasible, right? To export one integration at a time 500 times. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
And there must be a better approach.
Yes.
And that is exactly where a concept of packages come into picture. So whenever you create an integration, we have an option. Whenever you create an integration, irrespective of the style that you choose, we have an option to put an integration into a package. We have an option to put integration into a package. So what is it that we do, guys? We tell the team, if I'm probably the integration lead right at the beginning of the project, I send out a clear-cut communication to the team that, boss, if you're building integration related to ERP cloud, put it in ERP package. If it is something related to HCM cloud, put it in HCM package. If it is sales cloud, put it in sales package, right? So what would happen if somebody is building integration related to invoice or journal? If it is ERP related one, they would be putting it in ERP package. And when you enter a package name, you can enter a new package name when you put the first integration. And after that onwards, you can choose the package that you have already created. Okay, so this way. Now, another important thing is, yes, whenever you create ERP related integrations, put it in ERP package. Now, when you build integrations related to HCM, you ask them to put it in HCM package. So whether it is employee related integration or whether it is department or any other related integration. Now, this is one thing that we ask the developers to do, put integrations of a specific cloud application into a relevant packages. And what's the benefit? So if everybody followed instructions correctly, and if I go into packages, assume that I need to move the integrations to higher instance because SIT is going to start there, and I come into packages and I search for the packages that my team has created. And assume that this is HCM package and assume that this is ERP package. And you will be able to see 20 integrations here. You will be able to see 20 integrations here. And you will see 70 integrations here. Point number one, I can click on the integration number to see what all integrations are part of the package. Okay, and I can see whether we have all the HCM related integrations or not. And after you check and verify if all the integrations are present or not here, now what could happen? What are the two possibilities here, guys? You might probably see that HCM integration is missing. That is one scenario. Or you might see an ERP related integration here. Somebody might have put ERP into HCM by mistake. Oh, and can we correct it, guys? Can we repackage the integrations after they are created? Can we repackage the integrations after they are created? See, when we create an integration, we choose a package, right? Please note that this package, you select package when you create integration, and even after you create it, you can definitely go ahead and update it as well. Where do you update it from? You get into the integration, and you go into settings. Here you see an option to change the package. So just in case any of the developer didn't follow your instructions correctly, you can put them into the right packages. You can repackage them. And after you make sure that, and after you verify the integrations here, and after you do the repackaging of your integrations that were placed into wrong packages, it's time for you to export the package. And if I try to export this package, what is it that you notice, guys? All 31 integrations that we have in that package will be included in a PAR file, and that will be exported. Okay, a package archive file would be exported. And please note that that package archive file will contain code of 31 integrations. And not just the code of these 31 integrations, guys. All the connections, events, lookups, and libraries included in these 31 integrations will also be part of it. So if I have to deploy all these 31 integrations to a higher instance, all I have to do is log into SIT. And I go into packages. And within the packages, I have an option to import it. Now, when I click on import and I click on .par, you choose that PAR file and you have an option to import it. Okay. And you cannot pick and choose out of 31 if I want to do only 10. I cannot pick and choose what are the integrations that I want to migrate. By default, when you export it, everything that we have in a package gets exported. And if you want to exclude few integrations from this package, you go to those integrations, put them to a different package, then you export the remaining 26 that you want. And I'm sorry, guys, unfortunately, I cannot take the questions in the first two demo sessions. I made that announcement yesterday itself. I can see that Ved and Srinidhi have raised their hands. I can easily guess what those questions are, but the moment I start opening up a session for questions today, I have a lot of other content to cover since it's day one session and I won't be able to do it. From tomorrow, I would definitely be taking questions in between, but not today, please. Okay, so we go back to the integration. So that's about import and create. That's about import and create. And that is where packages would come handy. And also, please note that Prasad is rushing through a concept. I'm just trying to give you a very high level overview of what we are, of the design options that we have. This migration that I spoke about for 5 minutes, right? We will spend one complete session. We'll spend one complete session doing a detailed hands-on exercises to understand how the migration works later on. All I'm trying to do is not teach you how to migrate integrations, but teach you how it is done from a 10,000 feet. Okay, so I'm just giving you a very high level overview. And we'll get into a granular details when we teach each and every topic. Okay, so when we do a migration, if you have questions like after I deploy the integration, should I update the connections? Yes. How do I do it? So all such granular details we'll get into it when we do that individual topic. Okay, just try to understand on a very high level how exactly things work. Now, when you try to create an integration here, you have to pick and choose a style. And depending on, and this is step number one, guys. Until you pick an integration style, you won't even see a create button. Until you pick a style, you cannot even create an integration. And there are 3 integration styles for you to choose from: application, schedule, and event. Now, depending on how exactly you want your integration, depending on how you want your integration to be triggered, you need to pick and choose appropriate style. If you go back to the use case that we discussed yesterday, guys, Salesforce to ERP service, after we build this integration, this will be triggered from a Salesforce application. So since the integration that I created here will be triggered from another application, in this case, Salesforce, what should I do? When I build the integration, I will use the style as application style, so that after I build it and I activate it, there will be a URL generated, and that URL I share with a client, and client will be calling our integration from other system with the help of that URL, So to keep it simple, if you're building an integration, and if that integration has to be triggered from another application, and that could be a Salesforce triggering your integration, it can be ERP triggering your integration through business event. It can be a database calling your integration through DB polling, or it can be SFTP calling your integration, or it can even be an approval process calling your integration. So the point is, it doesn't matter who is going to trigger your integration, which application triggers it. Could be Salesforce, SAP, ERP Cloud, database, FTP server, or even approval process. Doesn't matter. But if you're building an integration that has to be triggered explicitly from another application, that is where you need to use application style. Build the integration, activate it, URL generated, and you pass it on to the client. Okay, and client will use your application to trigger it from another application. And what could be another use case, guys? Let's say you're doing an implementation project for BT, and assume that they have a billing system where AR invoices get created. And they want you to build an integration that would import invoices in ERP Cloud. And they want you to give that endpoint URL so that they can call it from a billing system. So you build an integration that is capable of importing journals in cloud, and you pass on that integration endpoint URL to the billing system. They will trigger it, pass on the payload, and the integration will create AR invoices in cloud. Okay. Now, what else do we need to do? So this way, whenever you need to build an integration that your client will be calling from other application, we have to choose application style. And sometimes you might have to build an integration and you just have to run it based on a schedule. Nobody's going to trigger it. Nobody's going to trigger it. You just have to run it based on a schedule. What could be some use cases for it, guys? Let's say we are doing an implementation project for a manufacturing client like Emerson. And let's say they have an internal warehouse management system. Let's call it application A. And in WMS system, items get updated all through the day. And with those item updates, we need to generate item CSV files. And we'll have to place those CSV files in SFTP server 1. And assume that this is an on-prem FTP server within the client network. But those item CSV files generated by WMS placed in server 1. So these item updates should be made available to a third-party system like OTM. Let's say your client uses a third-party shipping application to ship the sales orders, and let's call it application A. And that is within the client network. Now, I cannot ask the client to give access of server 1 to a third party, because a client might say, Prasad, I have a lot of other sensitive files here. I cannot expose the entire on-prem server to a third-party shipping application. Now, what do you do in such case? In such cases, you go back to application B and you ask them, boss, do you have any other system where I can place the files? Do you have any other system where I can place the files? Now, the other system, so application B might say that, Prasad, I've got access to another SFTP server. This is outside of a client network. So this is a third-party FTP server. So they might ask you, Prasad, if you can transfer the files from server 1 to server 2, I can pick them up and process it at my end. What do you do in that case? You build a file transfer service. And let's assume that a WMS is going to place the files at 1 o'clock every morning. You build an integration, schedule it to run at 1:30. And from within the integration, you will pick up a file from server 1 and you're going to transfer it to server 2. And in this case, we're only talking about transferring a file from one location to another location. And you come across plenty of use cases like this, guys, in real time, wherein a source would be writing files to one location, whereas a target expects the files to be in a different location. And here we are only talking about transferring the files, right? But you could also have a use case wherein you have to process the files as well. Let's say you're doing an implementation project for for HSBC today, and they have a core banking system where journals get created all through the day. And after the close of business, they would run a process at their end, include all the journals in a file, and they would place the file at 3 o'clock in the morning in FTP server. And they want us to pick up that file from a scheduled orchestration. You schedule an integration to run at 3:30, pick up that file, do the required transformation, enrichment, and validation, and you prepare a file in required format and then load it into cloud. Now, if you have to do a bulk data upload into Fusion, the ERP modules, you have to use FPDA process. And if you have to do a HCM use case, so the similar use case, guys, but instead of talking about a finance data object, it could be a custom application or .NET or Java application. And let's say you have employees file that gets generated, employees or departments, and that is placed in FTP server at 3 o'clock. We schedule an integration to run at 3:30, pick up a file and load it into HCM cloud. Now, if you have to load a file into HCM cloud, you have to use HCM data loader process. If you have to load a file into finance or SCM modules, you have to use FPDA for it. And you need to understand how to automate this FPDA and HDL processes, guys. Remember, these are not some cooked up stories that I'm explaining here. These are the actual use cases that I've built and delivered for end clients for the real-time requirements. And even when we do the course, we would be doing the same exact real-time use cases. So you see the file transfer service that I just explained. We will be using a file transfer service here. We build that integration here. And I'll show you how to build two application style integrations to load the data from other systems like billing or procurement applications, load the data into cloud. And we'll see how to build a complex SOAP service and a REST API to import journals and purchase orders so that you understand how both the flavors work and you understand a finance and SCM use case. And you would also understand how to automate an FPDI and the HCM data loader process. So if you have to do automated file uploads into ERP cloud or HCM cloud, you can make use of these process. And we will be covering everything that you need to know related to file processing in these integration use cases. Now, these four integrations are the core inbound integrations, meaning if you have to get the data from other systems and if you have to load it into Fusion Cloud in an automated manner, then you can make use of these four integrations. In a similar fashion, there is and there are a few more integrations that we build in between. Like you will be doing an integration with third parties like Salesforce. We will be covering the event-related integrations using publisher subscriber styles. You see a third integration style here called events. How exactly the event-related integration style works and how can you handle the event streaming concept in OIC? We will be covering that in detail when we do publisher subscriber use cases. And there's one dedicated integration wherein we talk exclusively about the connectivity agent and how to use it to talk to on-prem systems. And after this, we would be building, in the second half of the course, we will be focusing on outbound integrations as well. Remember guys, when you build integrations, one half of the story is you build integrations to load the data into Fusion Cloud. So let's say a client has implemented Fusion Cloud and they want you to build integrations for a Fusion Cloud implementation. There are two sets of integrations that you build, guys, basically. The first set of integrations you call as inbound integrations. And those inbound integrations come into picture here, wherein you get data from other systems that the client has. And whatever data that you get from other systems that the client has and to load it into Fusion Cloud, that is where you would be building these four inbound integrations. Complex SOAP service, complex REST API, FPDA automation, and HDL automation. And similarly, you will also have to build four outbound integrations here to extract the data from Fusion Cloud and send it to other systems. And again, we build four integrations here. Now, depending on the volume that you have to deal with and depending on the cloud application, depending on the volume, and depending on the cloud application, these are the four approaches we could follow. And we'll build integrations using all the four approaches. We'll see how to use a business event-driven integrations. We'll also see how to do bulk extraction of data from ERP cloud using BIP. And we see a bulk extraction from HCM cloud using BIP as well as extracts and then the atom feeds. So we'll be building four integrations related to outbound as well. And that would take care of the second half of what you normally do as integration specialist. So this way we build 15 integration use cases as part of the course, complex real-time examples that you would normally build in real-time projects. And not just that, we will also be building 5 VBCS and 5 PCS applications as well. And one of them will be an end-to-end solution linking all the cloud services together. And if I go back, so that's about it. Event integration, we will be talking about it when we do the publisher subscriber services. And if you go back here, we discussed about connections yesterday. Whenever you do any integration, before you create an integration, you need to establish connections with the required systems. Like if you're doing a Salesforce to ERP service, you will have to create connections using those adapters. And after you create connections using those adapters, you would use those connections within the integration flow. And when you create these connections, you will be asked to pick up an adapter from here. And whatever list of adapters that you see here, 100 plus adapters that we have, you will be able to see that list of adapters here in this particular tab as well. Events, we talk about it in the event streaming, and lookups will help you to store the values in a configurable manner. Now let me take one use case to explain how our lookups will work or will come handy. I would go ahead and search for journal import service. Now, if you see here, so this is the fourth integration that we create as part of the course. Okay, so this is a fourth integration that we create as part of the sessions, which is a complex journal import soap service. And this is exactly how that integration is going to look like. This is exactly how this integration is going to look like. So we will be building complex integrations like this as we progress in the course, guys. We don't just do a basics and say course is done. Now for this particular integration, in fact, we'll spend a whole week talking about the use case in detail and building an integration accordingly. But just to give you a very high level overview of this integration, assume that we're doing this integration for HSBC client. HSBC will trigger our integration from their core banking system. They trigger our integration, they pass in journal payload as input. Let's say they pass in 100 lines or 500 lines. And with that data, we would use ERP connection and we call the journal import service and pass in all the 100 lines as input. So this service is going to dump the data to interface table. Whatever 100 lines we receive, it will be dumped to interface table, and then we submit import journals job. So this job will pick up that interface data and process it. After that, we are waiting for 1 minute here, and we're trying to get the status of that particular job and see if it has completed in succeeded, warning, or error status. And based on the status, I want to do a relevant email notification. Okay. Now again, when we do the use case, we'll talk about each and every step in detail and why we do that. But if you focus on this particular bit, I want to send out an email notification. And when we send out an email, I can hardcode the email IDs. But does anyone have a problem with it, guys, if I hardcode the email IDs? Tomorrow people might change, right? So if I hardcode the email IDs here, let's say Tim and Steve are looking after GL today. Tomorrow they leave Emerson and join some other company. But still the email notifications will keep going to them. Right? So it should be HSBC, but still the email notifications will keep going to them. They might leave HSBC and they might join some other firm. So it is never a better idea to hard code things that could change, like email IDs, URLs. In fact, it's not recommended to hard code anything in the integration. So what is it that we can do in such case? Instead of hard coding the emails like this, you can quickly create a lookup. As you see here. And in a lookup, what is it that you're going to do? You would go ahead and store those common properties like email IDs or URLs. You create a lookup like common properties lookup. And in a lookup, you store the email IDs. You store the from and to email IDs. And what is it that you do, guys? Instead of hard coding the emails here, you can, after you create a lookup, you can use lookup value function, ask OIC to go to the lookup, search in a property name column for a specific property. You see from email ID, I'm asking OIC to go to this lookup, search in property name for this particular property, search in property name in this lookup for this property and get the value, whatever is there here. And that value is what you should use as a from email address. Similarly, I can write a similar expression here. So instead of hard coding the email IDs here in the integration, if you store it in a lookup and if you pull the list of email IDs from a lookup, what is the advantage, guys? Tomorrow, if people change, then what would happen, guys? Client will not even come to you or me. They will just go to a lookup and they will just change the email IDs here. And within the integration, since we're going to a lookup and picking up the email IDs from there, our integration will start sending notifications to the new set of people. So it might be Tim and Steve today, and tomorrow if John and Steve replaces them, you would, whatever updated list that you have, email notifications will be sent to that set of people. Okay, so this is just one usage of lookup, guys, but there are plenty of other usages for a lookup. And you can also use a JavaScript library in the integration, guys. And when we do the first integration use case, I'll explain how it works. Please note that we don't use JavaScript regularly in the integration, guys. You probably use it 1 in 100 integrations. And also I'll tell you how easily you can get that code in Google related to JavaScript. So you don't need to learn JavaScript to learn OIC. In case you know it, okay. But even if you don't know it, no panic, because you use it 1 in 100 integrations, very, very rarely. And I'll talk about those scenarios, and I'll also talk about how to use it after we do the first integration. Packages we just discussed, it helps us to group integrations together so that we can deploy them in bulk into higher instances. Agents would help you to integrate with on-prem applications, and we will be covering the agent-related integration in detail. We'll be covering the agent-related integration in detail when we do this SaaS to on-premise service. Okay. Now, before I open up a session for questions, guys, with this, we are done with our second training session, guys. And one important point, guys, this is a Monday to a Saturday batch. We do have a training session tomorrow as well. Don't think that it's Monday to Friday. It is Monday to Saturday, and we'll be doing 1 hour training session from 6 to 7 in the morning. We have a training session tomorrow. Please dial in. And after today's session, we will be enabling passcode on the meeting, guys. Around 24 of you have already made a fee payment, and this announcement is for nine of you who are yet to enroll in a course. 24 who have already made a fee payment received an onboarding email, or you might have made a payment after 7:30 p.m. yesterday. You would receive onboarding email today morning. You don't have to do anything. Sit back and relax, and we will be sending you a passcode. We will be sending you a passcode by today EOD. Okay, you will receive an email with a Zoom passcode, and when you try to join the same Zoom link tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, you will have to enter that passcode. And if you have made a payment, we would definitely send you a passcode. Check for the passcode in your inbox or in the spam folder. Sometimes the email goes to spam folder, and use that passcode to dial in. And for 9 of you who are yet to make a fee payment, in case you want to proceed further and continue with a batch, please send us a message on this particular number, WhatsApp number, and try to complete the enrollment formalities by 2 p.m. today, because team would need at least 2 to 3 hours to complete the onboarding process and send out the onboarding email with a passcode. Okay. And yes, it is a 6 to 7 a.m. batch. Monday to Saturday, we do 1 hour session, and batch goes on for 9 to 10 weeks. And all the sessions will happen over Zoom. We record them and give you lifetime access to them. As you can see, we are recording this session as well, and you would have lifetime access to them. And we also give you 3 months of instance access. We'll give you access to OIC. We'll give you access to Fusion Cloud, and we'll also give you access to SFTP server and a database in cloud, so that you can practice whatever use cases we do in a session. And we would also give you access to all the material that you are seeing on screen, guys, the integrations material, VBCS and PCS applications. And whenever you want to practice, you have all the material handy. Okay. And yes, at the end of the course, I'll be talking about the certification. We'll be giving you 100% job assistance and all that stuff. And if you have any questions related to certification support or a job assistance, you can call us on this particular number, and team would explain the details for you. Okay. Yes, Ved, please go on with your question. Please raise your hand. I'll come to you. Okay, Bhagyalakshmi, please go on. Please raise your hand, guys.
Hi, Prasad. Yes, you told that there are 3 types of integrations: application and event and schedule. I mean, application, event, and schedule, right? These 3. I mean, application also, we are giving integration URL. That is also scheduled, right? We can schedule, right? That one also, that integration also. What is the main difference between, I mean, in a simple way, what is the difference between application and schedule integration?
Okay. When we do the journal import service, a REST API, SOAP service or a REST API, we create them as application. And when we do FPDA and HDL, we create them as scheduled integrations. And once you look at a couple of real-time use cases, you understand it. to keep it simple, if you're building an integration and you don't want that integration to run automatically at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, you don't want to schedule it. You don't want it to run automatically based on a schedule. Instead, some other application is going to trigger it whenever it is required. Then you use application style. In this particular case, I don't want this integration to run at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. Instead, whenever a customer is created in Salesforce application will trigger your integration on demand whenever required with the help of the URL you share with them. And such use cases wherein you want your integration to be triggered from another application on demand with the help of URL, that is what you call as an application style. But if you want an integration to be executed based on a schedule, not somebody is going to call it. It's going to run at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock based on a schedule, or you want integration to run every 10 minutes, you build a scheduled orchestration. You cannot call a scheduled integration and you cannot schedule an application style integration. There are workarounds for it, but not straightforward. And we'll get into the granular details when we reach that stage. Yes, Santanu?
Okay, thank you.
So how many classes will be there total?
Course would go on for roughly 55 to 58 hours.
58, I mean 2 months, like approximately.
Roughly 2 months, yes. Monday to Saturday, we do 1 hour session and batch goes on for 9 to 10 weeks. Okay.
And we'll be covering UVCS as well, right?
We will be covering VBCS and PCS also. 15 integrations, 5 VBCS and 5 PCS applications.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Ved. Please lower your hand once your question is answered so that we don't have confusion. Yes, please.
Yeah, so my question is around projects. Prasad, like when we create a project, like how we are exporting it by creating a package, can we directly export a project as well?
Absolutely. Yes, you're thinking on the right lines. We can export a project as well. And that is how, and when we export a project, what would happen when you export it? All the 100 integrations you have in a project will be exported and imported. Now, what if you don't want to export? What if you don't want to export all 100 and maybe you want to do a 3 or 4 because you change something in only in those 3 or 4 integrations? That is where a deployment comes in.
Okay. And another question around lookups. So when you said lookups, the lookups which are created on the OIC instance, right? Not the common lookups which we create in HCM application
These
will be
are two different
migrated.
things. These are two different things.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions, Srinidhi? Yeah, sorry, go on. You have any other question?
No, I'm good. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, HP, please go on.
Hello, sir. This is Hema.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is the right forum to ask this. So I'm basically a Salesforce business analyst. I have a very fair idea about all the configuration or admin related stuff and schemas and stuff. So I am looking forward for this session from a long time. I'm glad I'm able to make it today. There's kind of a couple of questions I have. The first thing is, how do you take this class? More of like I felt, initially it was all the one-way communication, and then at the end, the forum was open for questions, right? Will that be the same for every class, or
no, that will not be the same for every class. And I did also explain the reason in day 1 session itself to avoid this misconception. See, day 1 and day 2, so it's think of it like a trailer. I try my best to cover more than what we normally do in a 1 hour training session to impress everyone. Okay, I'll be very frank about it, right? So, but from day 3 onwards, don't think that the quality is going to change or anything would change. It's just that from tomorrow onwards, we will be nailing down a specific topic. We'll be covering a specific topic. And so since we're doing a specific topic, we will definitely be taking questions in between. In fact, you don't even need to raise a hand. After every 15-20 minutes, I take a pause and I ask if you have any questions. But at the same time, please note that if I keep the session open for asking questions at any point in time you want, you could also guess what could happen, right? Hema has a question at 6:05. Prasad started a session at 6 o'clock. Bhavya has a question at 6:10. Dinesh has a question at 6:15. It goes all over the place. And you will call me at 10:30 in the morning. Prasad, is this your first batch? Or do you know how to do a crowd control? What's going on? It's like a fish market. Okay, so yes, I've done 100 plus batches. I very well know how to do the crowd control. And I also know exactly when to open up a session for questions. One thing that you can be very sure of is Prasad won't jump off unless he answers the questions from him, okay, or anybody else in the session, if that is what you're looking for. Okay, whether I take it during a session or whether I take it at the end of the session or in the middle of a session. Yes, it happens in between. It happens after 20 minutes. It could happen at the end of the session. But yes, definitely, I'll be taking the questions, and only after that I'll close the session. Sometimes I ask the students to wait until end of the session. The reason is whatever questions that you might probably trying to ask, whatever questions that you might try to ask, would be something that I might be covering in the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And I see that happening very frequently with the students. They think ahead and they ask a question or a concept that I'm going to talk about in the next 15 minutes. And there's no point in me talking about it now and answering a question and then talk about the topic later on in quite detail. Okay. So don't worry. If you have any further questions, give me a call on this number. I'll take the final question from Sai Krishna before I close it. Yes, Sai?
Yeah, so now we are more on the OIC, right? In the OIC, is the role only technically we design and all this thing, or do we have anything administration activities to maintain the OIC instances and all these things?
Day 5, I will talk about tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, we will be covering web service basics. Tomorrow will be SOAP service basics. Day after tomorrow, REST API basics. And on day 5, I will be showing you how to create OIC instance from OCI screen. And in that session, I'll talk about all the admins related stuff that you need to know in OIC. There's nothing, there's not too much of an administration stuff, but whatever is involved, I'll be talking about it on day 5 session.
Okay.